I prayed, we prayed. I said, Lord, please forgive me for coming into this river today. And for trying these 3 times. But if you help me to start the car, I'm just going to reverse right out. No sooner I prayed, the car started. Woo, reverse. We got the reverse, we went straight out. But the amazing thing, we were already in the middle of the river. It's a wide river. Wide river. I don't know, 500 meters, 500 to 600 meters wide. And by the time I put it in reverse, the car was out of the river. Everybody was surprised. I was surprised. My children were surprised. How did we get out of the river so quickly? But the Lord helped us. We took a drop. We dropped the car off. We took one of those hanging bridges that they only allow you to walk, or they allow motorcycles across. So we went and but yeah, I could tell you of countless adventures with rivers over there. Not to mention when you go into the wild. Now, in 2014, the Lord told me to leave that institute and that I should spend 1 year with my family to have some family time. Because from the whole time we have been living in institution. From NCU, we were in the dormitory, living with dormitory, and we went straight to Bolivia, and we were always, so we never had really much time, much space as a family. So the Lord told me I should spend 1 year with my family. So it was during that year that we were working in the La Guardia, and we raised up the church too. But in 2000, he told me that after 1 year, then he would tell me what the ministry that he wanted me to do should be. So in 2015, I went with Hannibal, this young man here. He was one of my students. These young men were students of mine in the institute. He purchased a property, a fairly large property, and donated that property for us to put a center for evangelism. So in 2016, we began this new ministry called Loudcry Missionary Society. And our aim was to begin frontier missions, reaching out to the indigenous people and hard to reach communities, to bring the gospel to them. So this was one of the places where we worked. This area is where we have where the land is. This place is called Anoka. It takes us 1.5 days to get there. Yes, it's not easy. Huh? Driving first with taxi, then you take a bus, and then after that you take a little trolley going down some train tracks with a lawnmower engine until you reach the river. Then you take a boat going 2 miles up the river. Then you go back into another one of those trolleys, go up about 20 kilometers more. Then another 40 miles on bike. Sorry, 40 kilometers on bike. The first time we went there, he told me, Pastor, this is going to be an adventure, you know. I said, oh, yeah. But when I saw what we needed to do to get there, it was a real adventure. And to the last town, when we got to the town where the train track stopped, we had to get on a bike. We had to get a bike, 2 bikes. And the neighbors were going to take us on their bikes. We would pay them. But as soon as we got on the bike, no sooner did we get on the bike, there came this downpour of rain and a south wind. In Bolivia in wintertime, when the south wind came and the place just got drenched, it was all mud. The bikes couldn't go any further. we had to walk 9 kilometers with all the stuff. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about Loudcry. Volunteers responding to the call of God to prepare ourselves. At least this is what we have on the Facebook, our Facebook page. Responding to the call of God. This is very important because today there are different approaches to evangelism. And we are reaping the fruits of some of the methods, the popular methods to evangelism today. So we value biblical approaches to evangelism in Bolivia and so. You know, some years ago, Pastor Richard Gates, the father of David Gates, worked in the jungle region in Bolivia, tithe. So some of these churches are closed. Places that had thriving congregations are no congregation. Voluntary projects. I mean, most people, a lot of people go to Bolivia. It's like Africa. When you think about missions, people think Bolivia. So there are lots of missionaries there, but in terms of the mission work to the indigenous, next to nothing in respect to that. Recently, a group of missionaries came with orphans, and that's more of a rural area, but still there's a lot to be done in terms of outreach to the indigenous people. So we labor to prepare of God by calling God's people to readiness for the seal of Christ in the final outpouring of the Holy Spirit. We aim at raising up biblical churches among unreached people groups, as well as in isolated communities. That is our mission. What's a biblical church? Teaches Bible. Or it's not just a church that has its fundamental teachings founded in the Bible, culture, a biblical creed, or just giving an assent to biblical doctrine for the church. We are talking about a people who are devoted and dedicated to ordering their lives according to the scriptures. Philosophy of Babylon or Egypt, and your environment in which you're living is Egypt, drinking of Babylon's wine, is something completely different. Because eventually that type of a system is something that you have on paper or something that you recite, but it doesn't really affect how your life is structured. Eventually the time will come where those will be forgotten. Powerless, completely powerless. We have 2 pages on Facebook and 2 channels in YouTube, one in English and one in Spanish. Our next project is one that involves educational work for the training and preparation of young workers for end-time evangelism. 1.5 days to get to Anoka. All right, so this is a bus. You get on a taxi, a regular taxi, and you get to one city. You take one of this bus, and you travel 5 hours in this bus till you get to the trains. So, this is a team of missionaries that we took out there, and we were heading back that morning on one of these little train things on a regular day-to-day basis, getting stuck in mud. So this is how we travel to get to Anoka. You must get on the trolley, then you get to the river, you go into one of these boats up the river, and then when you actually finish and reach the last portion of the train line, then you take a bike and you go 40 kilometers more. The last we did, we took a team of doctors and dentists. It was a big it was a big team. So when we were coming back, the man who was operating the trolley said, this trolley is too heavy. Only lay can cross. So we had to cross this bridge that was washed out. You know, there was a bridge here and it was washed out. It just left the rails. And this thing is 7 meters deep. And there are crocodiles in there. So luckily, you see the rail is double railing. People walked, some of us walked on a double rail. Some people couldn't walk. Some people walked like this across, and some just crawled across. Yes, it's a real challenge to get there. Here's an example of the trolley and how it operates. He starts it, little engine there, lawnmower, little water pump engine he's using. But once he gets it started, this thing starts to go and it goes. Looks like I got distracted there. Okay, yeah. We don't have sound, but yeah, he just pushes that. What they've done is to attach a car's gearbox to the little motor, and then they have a chain that runs down to the axle. Now we go through the jungle. Yeah, you would love it. You would love it, but there are some hazards there. For example, the first time I brought my son there, we went on a walk. We saw a jaguar. A what? Huh? Oh! No, I'm not talking about a car. I'm talking about the animal. The jaguar, like a leopard. Yes, like a... So we saw a jaguar by the side of the road. And I said, hey, we need to take a picture. By the time I took my phone out of my pocket, so silent. Jaguars are powerful animals. They kill with one strike. They kill in the ear. So when they pound, but when we went to like this big, yeah, well, they call it caiman, yeah. Crocodile is really bigger. Caiman goes to about 7 feet, while a crocodile pretending to be dead. So I pushed my machete on him. Try some pressure. One splash. I don't know if he went to east, south, west, which side. That thing's fast. So the next day, rain fell and it flooded the whole place. My son, he stepped on the plank and the plank sank in the water. But he felt something there. He looked, it was one of those caiman under there, trying to get out. He stepped on it. One night, we had gone to, there was no transportation. So we hired one of these trolleys and we got to the place. But by the time, so there were no boats to cross, to go down the river. So he said, well, there's another road. We can go through this little jungle here. My cell phone battery was low. But thank God it was a moon. It was a full moon. So we went through this jungle path. And we were calling, they couldn't hear because they were running a generator as a sandy beach. So I said, let's sleep here on the beach. So he said, yeah, we agreed. So I took my tent and I opened the tent bag. As soon as I was opening the tent bag, there was but the rain never fell that night. 2 years later, we were going with this team of missionaries back to that area, and we got there late. So when we got to the beach, it was already dark. So I had a little flashlight, headlamp, and I was looking out on the water as we were crossing the river in a boat. And I saw these little lights, these little fire lights, look like fire, you know? So when I look, everywhere those orange lights, they were the caiman eyes. The big caiman man, this big, 7 feet, 8 feet, lining that beach. The Lord saved us from being a crocodile supper. Because when we were thinking to put down our tent there, we didn't know that we were right in the midst of crocodiles and caiman. And the Lord saved us by just sending one flash of lightning. And I say, oh no, after 2 years, I finally realized why we didn't sleep there. So there are adventures there. We do arrange medical missionary trips to remote villages. We bring books. You need to do is to give them deworm the children. Everybody needs that. Look at this. I don't know if you can see that from there, but you can see this rash on this baby. Much of that is there. But the interesting thing, when you go to these villages, I got there 10 o'clock, and I saw 3 ladies coming. Pastor, are we going to have worship? I say, yes, we're going to have worship, but tonight, 7 o'clock. They came already, ready for worship at 10 o'clock in the day. They're hungry for the word of God. In this community, New Esperanza, first time we went there, first time set up something to preach the gospel there. Some brethren in the church. But we don't have, we have the wood, we can cut the wood, we can make the structure, but we don't have the funds to put the roof. And we want to buy some zinc sheets to put the roof. Can you help us to? I decided I would help them. But the thing is, I didn't know what congregation they were. And it was an awkward thing then to go and ask. So I said, should I ask them? Should I help them? But then I decided, you know what, I'm going to help them because they don't have any pastor here. So let me help. So it turned out that it was not Seventh-day Adventist group. But when I went back there, the leader of the group, he told me, we keep Sabbath here. What happened? He was listening to a radio station from La Paz that broadcasted, and it was a Seventh-day Adventist station. Some lay people, it was a lay station, but they broadcasted the Three Angels message and Advent message there. And he was listening. He was from a Presbyterian church, and he listened to the radio, all this, what he was learning about the Sabbath. And he said, I decided to keep this here on Sunday anymore. And then he put it to a vote, if anybody would like to join him in keeping the Sabbath. And the majority of them raised their hands. So, having committed, already working, and there was a Sabbath-keeping congregation. This is how we preach there, in the night. And the people listen, from afar. All right. All right, we're coming to a close. We have, this past year, we went out into new territory looking for lands where to put the school for evangelism. We want to raise up a school to train. We're looking, and we found we found a nice place suitable for that. This is how it looks like, going toward my sons and Annabelle there. And this donkey was an amazing animal. I never realized, because I associated with donkey when I was a child, but I never realized how precious donkeys are. Well, I don't know, if donkeys are like this donkey, they are wonderful animals. What level of obedience, what level of loyalty, what level of service. You know, in the end, the donkey got mad with us. Because when we were coming back, we took away his load. He wasn't happy that he was light. But here is where, in this area is where we want to put the school for evangelism. We have earmarked some lands. We are yet to purchase that land. We're praying for God's provision. 112 acres at a good price. It's not very expensive. And we trust that the Lord will provide. So when we'll be focusing, our major focus will be on the construction for that project. We are being involved in the Llaves Antiguas para un Hogar Bendito. What is that? What is this? What is it? Ancient keys to a blessed home. You have been here, right? Right. That's what the seminar that we've been having here, that we've had. This seminar, we have been doing it now for 2 years, and we've started by arranging camps for singles and camps for married couples. But in the last year, we kind of made a change because we thought that we should actually bring the seminar to the general public. So the first time we did that was in Cochabamba, Bolivia. We got a hall from the lawyers' conference room, which seated about 200 people, and it was well attended. It was a real blessing. After that, 2 weeks after that, we went to Peru, Bagua, where we presented the seminars also there in Bagua, and then later, 1 week later, in Lima, Peru, which was very well attended also. In this, we had attendance of over 12 pastors from different denominations who were so moved at what they were learning and asked that we continue. We bring again the seminar. So what is to be done in Bolivia? In Bolivia and South America, they are still unreached frontiers. A whole territory waiting for the gospel, to hear the gospel. People in different tribes who have never heard the name Jesus. There's a work to be done. Perhaps there's a room for you to participate in that work. Perhaps God would have you there. Perhaps if He wouldn't have you there, perhaps He has something for you to do to further that work that needs to be carried on there. To remember us in your prayer. Remember Loudcry Society. God has called us to a tremendous task. We are a very small team. Apart from my wife and family, we are just 5 people. Well, including my wife, myself, and 3 others. Small team. And has been showing us ways how we can collaborate with others to carry on the work. We need your prayers. In the project for the Frontier Evangelism, we foresee that we're going to need leaders, contact with some of the folks, buildings. There's a great need. So we need your prayers and we need your support in whatever way you can offer it. Pray for us and keep us always in your heart. This coming Tuesday, we'll be going back. It has been a tremendous privilege and blessing to have spent these, how many weeks? More than 5 weeks with you here in Portmore. May God bless you. May He prosper the work here in this part of the vineyard. May He bless you and endow you with spiritual gifts and fervor and zeal and love for Jesus Christ and for the brethren, and for His people. And if we should not meet again in like fashion here on earth, may God be gracious and grant us a privilege to meet around His throne. God bless you.
I'm from Georgia.
Okay. Okay.